Hello, Karritz here. I'm sorry I've been absent for a week or two. I've been rather unwell and have been in hospital actually, had some surgery, and it's going to take me quite a while, I think, to fully get over it. But I'm allowed to sit at my computer, provided I still walk around quite regularly. This little message is meant to give you an idea of what I'm planning with this channel over the next few months. I do plan to continue with almost all of my series, and I'll go through them one by one. There's only one that I won't be able to continue with because I've broken up the household and spread them around my big game. And the big game is the save that I'm using for 2 of the series, so you will still see the members of the household in those other 2 series. Now the household I'm talking about that I've broken up, I broke up because it got too big and the house I put them into had got so complicated and huge that it was just causing a massive amount of lag. And there was no actual storyline. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just, oh, look at this cool house I'm building, and oh, aren't they pretty? And we can do that in all of the other series. So I broke them all up and spread them around various worlds in my big game, because the big game's got about 13 or more worlds in it apart from the 3 world adventure worlds. And the household I've done this with is Cake Island Mermaids. I know that you've enjoyed watching them, and we haven't lost mermaids altogether, because the mermaids that made up the very beginning of the story are still in another mermaid story that I will be continuing with, and that is just called Colourful Mermaids. There ended up just being too many Sims in the household to continue with this, and there's quite a lot of toddlers. So when I broke them up, I spread them across various worlds, as I've said, and you'll still see them in future videos, particularly if you're interested in watching the McFluff story or Oscar's childhood, which will eventually morph into Oscar and Louise. You're most likely to see the little toddlers when they've aged up to children at the boarding school, which is where Oscar is currently living in Chocolate Cake Island. All of the little children, toddlers and teens, plus various young adults, will cycle through that boarding school as Oscar grows up. But we'll talk more about Oscar shortly. This is just giving you a quick look at the household that I'm not going to continue making videos on. I've just got too many series and there's too much of a gap between each one. These toddlers, we've got Petal the little plant sim who came to us from the Perfect Genetics Challenge. We've got little clone of Salty, the Salty Seaworth's clone. We've got the clone of Mia Azul. We've also got a clone of George, who was a fairy mermaid. And I think the little clone is just a fairy. So that's Salty picking up his clone at the moment. Now you'll still see the mermaids, it's just that I won't be making a lot more videos on this actual household. As you can see on the left hand side, there's a lot of Sims in this household, and I've broken them up and put them into their own households, and they're spread across a few different worlds. And in the boarding school I draw little Sims from all of the different worlds, because I use the NRAS Traveller mod to let them travel between worlds and still maintain their relationships. So they go to the boarding school, they learn what they need to learn, they get to know a whole lot of other little Sims who they wouldn't otherwise have got to meet, and then they all go back home to their own households. And later on in the game they intermingle much more freely. So that's it from the Cake Island Mermaids. And do you recognise Suki from Oscar's childhood? That's where she came from. She was in the Cake Island Mermaids. I gave her new hair and clothes, and I might have changed her scale colour a bit too, but that's Suki, who I transformed into Simone. An established series that I will be continuing with is Carolyn and Friends, and I've made a second playlist. I've moved Carolyn to Sunlit Tides, and she's been joined by 6 housemates. They're not strictly housemates in the Sims 3 way of housemates, they're just new Sims that have been added to her household. And between them, they're going to be going for the University Life badges. There's about 46 of those badges to be obtained. Not sure if we'll get them all, but we will have a go. And that's Evil Katie in the background. She will also be looking for badges that relate to the evil or the criminal career. And in all the years that I've been playing The Sims 3, I've never before had the graduation gnome. But this lot have been to university a couple of times already. They've got a few of the university badges, and they came home with a whole bunch of graduation gnomes. Nobody's graduated yet. They've all got to go back, and that's what we'll be doing next time I make a new chapter for Carolyn and Friends. I hope you'll enjoy watching their story. That Sim there in the yellow shirt, he was banned from my game for life, but I gave him a reprieve. I thought he might be fun. He's very annoying if you want him to do something. He's socially awkward. Just watching his reactions and going with what he does. That's what I've decided to do for him in this save. He's there mainly for entertainment value. The one, Marie, is the one with the long plaits there. She wants to be a rock star. She's going to be working towards a rock star career and a few badges that relate to rock stars and university life. The one who just sat down to eat is the evil Katie, who's eating. That's Wilma in the background, who's going around critiquing all of the wall art and items hanging on the walls. This house is still under construction. It's quite small above ground, and not very impressive at all, but downstairs there's quite a lot in it. It's got an interesting collection of traits, and there should be some fun and games, and I think I've got enough Sims with different traits to get quite a few of the badges, but not all of the badges. So there will be more Sims added to the household eventually, but I don't want to add any more just yet. The Isla Paradiso bunch is almost complete. I'm currently working on episode 72, and that will be posted sometime later this week, I think. If not early next week, depends how I feel. And it is going to show Craig completing the Dragon Cave, because Dong Ho is trapped in the big, difficult tomb in the Dragon Cave. Once he's done that, they'll come back and he will, or one of them, possibly Craig, will do Dong Ho's treasure, which is another big tomb, and that is under the market. And that will then complete China, because the whole idea of this particular playlist too was for them to complete the tombs in each of the 3 World Adventure Worlds, and most of the episodes gives a walkthrough each of the various adventures and some tombs that are not part of an adventure. The objective being for them to collect all parts of the tomb collection in each of the 3 World Adventure Worlds. So far they have completed only one world, and that is Egypt, where they've got all 13 parts of the tomb collection. In China they have got 2 to collect. In episode 72 we will get one of those, and in episode 73 hopefully we'll get the final one for China. And then there's only France left, where there are 2 huge tombs under the nectary that I'm hoping to get them to complete. And once that's done, I will stop making episodes for this playlist, the Isla Paradiso Bunch Adventure playlist, and I'll probably not make any more videos on the Isla Paradiso Bunch for a while. If I ever do start another playlist, it will be concentrating on the children growing up and everybody getting their lifetime wish, and I will also have them all moved out of Isla Paradiso because it's impossible at the moment to play the game in Isla Paradiso. I'll probably use the NRAS Porter mod to pack them up with any significant other Sims from Isla Paradiso and start a fresh game with them in another world for any future playlists. I think I'll stick to the Isla Paradiso bunch until they have found all parts of the tomb collection, because I just want to get this over and done with, and once I have completed them, then I will definitely be rotating through the other series in a set order. The next series I'll be continuing with is the McFluff story. It starts out with old Gertie. She is Generation 0 because she's not actually going to have any children, but she does start the story. She's a witch. And she is a crazy cat lady, and she's got lots of cats. And her aim in life is to find a spell to turn her cats human, because at some stage in her not too distant past, there was a terrible accident where 15 of her least favourite friends were accidentally turned into cats. And then she discovered she didn't have any way of reversing this spell. So her life's work is trying to discover some sort of a restoration magic, and that task will become the tradition for the rest of the McFluff generations to come, until finally they do discover how to do it. Generation Zero includes some crazy sculptors that turn up and make lots of ice sculptures, and there's some time travel, as well as Gertie interacting with her cats. And she does a certain amount of adventuring as well, mostly with the digging machine. And then Generation 1 starts. This is Jerry and Iris Green. They currently live in Dark Harbour, in that house just behind them on the beach. They'll shortly be moving to Hidden Springs, where they will live with old Gertie in her house full of cats, where they will also marry at the indoor-outdoor wedding venue. Their children will carry on Gertie's desire to find the spell that will finally turn the cats into humans. I don't know how many cats they'll have by then, or how many generations of cats we'll have to get through before she finally finds a way for them to become human again. Of course, they won't just stay home the whole time. They'll get around. Jerry wants to be an adventurer, so he'll probably be doing a few tombs occasionally. He's not going to do any big challenges with the tombs, like the Isle of Paradiso bunch have done, but he will go places. Here he is with Iris. They've gone on a holiday together into China, and they're watching the stars. This is a save that I've moved to my big game. And if you watch every episode, you'll get to know lots of my Sims. I've got about 800 Sims in the big game in various worlds. They're all spread around various worlds. And the other game, or the other series that I've got set up in the big game is Oscar's childhood, which will lead into Oscar and Louise eventually, when Oscar grows up. But we're having too much fun with Oscar's childhood to get him to grow up too soon. Colourful Mermaids is a minor series. I will do a new video of them every so often. It's not something that I will make sure I do as part of my usual routine of doing updates to various series. There's 4 main series, and once the Isle of Paradiso bunch is done, well then there'll be 3 main series, and they are McFluff, Carolyn and Friends, and Oscar and Louise, which is currently being recorded and shown as Oscar's childhood, but it is Oscar who it will become. When he grows up, he will be with Louise, and it'll be their story. There's a few minor series that I will also do regularly, and they include the 30 Grandchildren Badge and the Perfect Genetics Challenge. I call them minor because I try to keep their videos shorter. The major series, I try to get it between 20 to 30 minutes, and the minor series, I do try to get their videos between 10 and 20 minutes long for each video. And then there's a few that I just toss in occasionally, and that would include the Colourful Mermaids, who live in Isle of Paradiso in a huge house. And the main reason I'm doing this series is to show off the house and to enjoy the mermaids, because this is one of the houses that is in my studio on the Exchange, and I built it when the Skylight House set was released in the store because I wanted to play with the Skylight House roof pieces, and you'll realise that as soon as you see the house. The house is huge, and there's lots of fun things to be done inside it. Oscar's childhood is another of my major series. It will become Oscar and Louise shortly, once Oscar grows up, but we are going to get the most fun possible out of Oscar's childhood first. He's had a wonderful fairy tale early life until his entire family got destroyed in an explosion brought on by an evil alien meteor attack on their house, and he was rescued from that and sent to boarding school. The boarding school is in Chocolate Cake Island, and it is full of children and teens and toddlers, all there to get to know each other and to learn their various skills. While Oscar will be living at boarding school permanently because he's got no home to go back to, and while there he will befriend Eric. Now this is Eric having his birthday. Oscar won't meet Eric until Eric is a teen, because Oscar's on his way here now, but he won't arrive in time for he'll miss Eric's aging up. And these 2 lads will, as they grow up, travel throughout the worlds in the big game, and they are going to meet lots of other Sims and have a wonderful time. This is possible because Eric is related to almost half of the Sims in the big game, because his grandmother is Patience, and Patience has had a lot of children, and she's got a lot of grandchildren too. And Eric is one of her grandchildren, and there will be many great-grandchildren as well. Eric will be related to all of them, and they are scattered throughout the worlds. And that's Mike there in the red shirt. He's the first one that Oscar will make friends with when he arrives, but Mike's due to go home to Lucky Palms. And he is not actually related to Eric, but he is related to Eric in a sort of a way. I can't wait to get back to the Perfect Genetics Challenge. We've got our heir. She's a child at the moment, and her older siblings are now aging up to teen. We've got one aged up, and there's another one to age up in the next episode. The other family type of challenge I'm doing is a 30 grandchildren badge, or head of the household badge. This is going to keep going until I've got the badge. It might take a while because I'm making a bit of a game of it. Currently the children are all teens. I'm trying to get as many of them as possible to get their lifetime wishes completed, but some of them will need to age up to young adult before that can happen. And when they start aging up to young adult, they'll start having their own children until there's 30 grandchildren for their mother and father. And if that doesn't trigger the badge, well then one of them will have to replace their parents and become the one who is going to have the 30 grandchildren. So I'll be trying all sorts of ways to get that badge to trigger. It might just trigger with this generation, who knows? But it will continue. We'll finish up with tutorials with the picture of the evil Katie, who is now in Carolyn and Friends save. She was first introduced to this channel in a tutorial for how to place a gangplank at a port. So if you'd like any new tutorials, let me know in the comments section. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the rest of the video.